Pat Kelsey is the ACC Coach of the Year.
You are Locked On Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Card Nation, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. This is my fifth year covering the University of Louisville, third year hosting this show. I want to take the time to personally thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, the Locked On Louisville podcast is free and available on all streaming services 5 days a week. Your team every day. Now, today's episode of the show is brought to you by TurboTax. Ready for stress-free taxes and the most money back guaranteed? Head over to TurboTax.com today and get matched with your expert. The ACC season awards were announced on Monday. Pat Kelsey, Coach of the Year. Chucky Hepburn, Defensive Player of the Year. Hepburn and Terence Edwards made various All-ACC teams, and we'll discuss our reaction to all that on the show today. Jeff Brohm and company continuing to stay on fire on the recruiting trail. The Cardinals get another commitment from yet another local star. St. X athlete Marlon Harbin announced his pledge to be a Louisville Cardinal on Monday. More on that at the conclusion of the show. But before we talk about the All ACC season awards, I do want to talk about something. On Tuesday, we found out that we had lost a member of the Louisville Cardinal family. Junior Bridgeman unexpectedly passed away on Tuesday after suffering a medical emergency. Completely heartbreaking news. Bridgeman played under Coach Crum with Louisville from 1971 to 1975, where he was an All-American in his final season with the Cardinals. He then went on to play over a decade in the NBA. And then following his professional career, he became an extremely successful business owner. He was a pillar of this program, university, and community. And his impact on the city of Louisville simply cannot be overstated. Junior Bridgeman was 71 years old. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor Junior's life. Thank you. And of course, we extend our sincerest thoughts and prayers to Junior's friends, family, and those who knew him and loved him. The ACC season awards came out on Monday. Pat Kelsey, the Coach of the Year. We'll discuss that in the first segment, and then the second segment will be the player recognition. But Kelsey seemed to me like the heavy favorite to get this award. Now, to others, that wasn't necessarily the case, and you all know what I'm talking about. And we'll discuss that here in just a second. But what Kelsey did this season was nothing short of remarkable. Louisville, 4 wins in 2023, 8 in 2024, and to be able to turn that around year one to 25 wins and an 18-2 conference finish, securing the 2 seed in the conference tournament this week. Absolutely incredible, the job that he's done. Now, sure, there might never have been an easier time than the current landscape to rebuild your roster on the fly and to be competitive quicker. But that doesn't mean that it is easy. In fact, it is completely difficult. Coming into a program in the latter part of March, having to put a whole roster together of brand new players via the transfer portal really quickly, and to get those guys to gel, to have to deal with adversity early on in the season where 2 possible starters, Corin Johnson and Kason Pryor, both undergo season-ending injuries. Abubakar Traore misses over a month due to an injury that he had. And then to deal with all that and still reach 25 wins and win 18 games in the ACC, it's really remarkable. I thought that Kelsey was by far the Coach of the Year. Now, most people seemed like they thought the same thing. And then you talk to Duke and probably Kentucky fans too. But the official Duke men's basketball Twitter page aired grievances on social media claiming that Shire was quote-unquote snubbed for the Coach of the Year award. They also had some thoughts on the Defensive Player of the Year award. More on that coming up in the next segment. But the official Twitter account for the Duke men's basketball team criticizing right out for everyone to see. They compared it to Coach K's tenure, that Coach K, despite having as many great seasons as he did, didn't win the award in the last 22 years of him coaching, and they used that to sort of tie it all together with Jon Scheyer. The actual tweet reads, and I quote, "Haven't seen a coach snubbed for ACC Coach of the Year like this since Coach K didn't win it once over his final 22 seasons, which included 3 national titles, 10 ACC tournament titles, 5 ACC regular season titles, and 11 30-win seasons." There is a graphic of, the point differential in the conference record and 10 ACC wins by 25 plus, which is the most all time. And there's many other historical and notable statistics and facts that the Duke men's basketball program sort of just puts out there as a way to, well, I won't really say campaign because the award has been given to Kelsey, but just to vouch for their guy. And now look, this is my honest opinion on it. Good for them for vouching for their guy. I think that what Kelsey did this season was more impressive than what Jon Scheyer did. Now, I'm not going to be one to use Cooper Flagg and the other talented guys that Jon Scheyer brought to Duke as a way to penalize him in this argument. Roster building is a part of this. It led to Duke having a 19-1 finish and likely a 1 seed in the Big Dance. Credit to him, because I don't think that you can use someone's roster building against them. They went 19-1 in conference play. They had a really good season. Duke was a buzzsaw this year. Credit to Jon Scheyer. What he did was super impressive. Now, was Duke projected to finish number 1 in the conference with the likely number 1 draft pick and projected player of the year, or one of the players of the year, because RJ Davis was there as well? Yes. But it doesn't take away how impressive, because you still have to handle business. You have to win the games in front of you. And sometimes there's a lot of preseason hype surrounding a team. Well, actually, a lot of times there's a good amount of preseason hype, and they just don't live up to that hype. Duke did. They were projected to finish number 1, and they did. They faced very little opposition through the duration of the conference slate. They lost 1 game at Clemson, who had a top 3 finish. And for the most part, the Blue Devils coasted. Credit there. But I think that there was a coach that had a more impressive campaign this year. Now, we can argue about what the criteria should be all day long. I don't think it should be 100% given to the coach for the best team. I also don't think it should be 100% given to the coach that surprises everyone the most. There's so much context that has to matter for the Coach of the Year, to where it really is in the eyes of whoever's deciding. And I just feel like you put the 2 teams next to each other. If Louisville had gone, let's say 13-7 or 14-6. Let's say they finished like inside of the top 5, but they had multiple ACC losses. Maybe then you have the conversation of, okay, Jon Scheyer should get it because they went 19-2. Or I'm sorry, 19-1. Louisville finished 18-2. Duke had a great season, but hold on now. Let's not use that to completely discourage, or I'm sorry, not discourage, but take away some of the significance of what Louisville did. Louisville also coasted through the ACC. They lost to Georgia Tech in February. It was a weird loss there, but they ended up losing that. They had a 10-game winning streak in conference play, and now they're on a 9-game winning streak. It would be completely different if the end-of-year record was way different, but one team finished 19-1. The other finished 18-2. The 19-1 team was projected to finish number one. He had been at Duke for multiple seasons. Granted, he had to replace most of his roster, but this wasn't his first rodeo. But the 18-2 team had a coach that had to make a roster on the fly, didn't get the job until mid to late March, had never coached as a head coach in the Power 5, and took a program that had finished under 500 for the past 3 years and turned them into the second best team in the conference. You can say that what Jon Scheyer did was impressive, which it was, but you can also agree that what Kelsey did was a little bit more impressive. That's not taking away what Jon did. It's more so highlighting the different situations that each had to go through this year. I don't know why that's so hard to understand. And look, I get it. If you're a Duke fan and you're vouching for Jon Scheyer, props to you, because we would be doing the same thing if it happened to Pat Kelsey and the roles will reverse, but they're not. I don't think that Duke should be penalized for winning. I think Coach K not winning a Coach of the Year for the final 22 years of his head coaching career, that's probably bogus. Like, that shouldn't have happened. Like, he definitely should have won a couple years. And if Jon Scheyer does it again next year, and context just has to matter. Like, you can't make these just rash generalizations like, oh, well, just because Duke is winning and they were supposed to win means that he didn't get the award. No, it's just that Louisville was projected to finish anywhere from 7 to 11 in the conference play, and they were by far a top 3 team, and they finished number 2. So, Pat Kelsey, Coach of the Year. Right decision made by the conference. But the Duke Blue Devils weren't just upset about one award, but another award as well. We'll discuss when we come back on this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, and everything with 100% accuracy. All you have to do is just trust TurboTax so you can get the most money back guaranteed. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates available only in the iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Cardinal fans, thanks again for making this your first listen of the day throughout the beginning of March. On tomorrow's show, we're going to preview the quarterfinal matchup of whoever Louisville plays in the first game of the ACC tournament. We'll also dive into a weekly mailbag, some great questions that I want to answer before the end of the week, and much more. So be sure to tune into tomorrow's episode. Continuing along in our reactions to the All-ACC teams and the awards recognition, Pat Kelsey, Coach of the Year. Terence Edwards made the Third-Team All-ACC. More on that here in a second. And Chucky Hepburn, First-Team All-ACC, was understood, was expected. The other first-team members, Cooper Flagg from Duke, Stanford's Maxime Reynaud, Clemson's Chase Hunter, Wake Forest Hunter Salas, 100% agree with all of those. Chucky Hepburn got Defensive Player of the Year, and the Duke official men's basketball Twitter page did not agree with that either. In fact, they tried to joke on the selection by tweeting out a picture of an old-time computer saying, "A friend asked, with all due respect to the great defenders across the league." Yeah, okay. if this was the computer used to compile stats / research for ACC Defensive Player of the Year considerations this year, hinting at Cooper Flagg being snubbed for the award. Chucky Hepburn got it after leading the conference in steals per game and being the best point of attack defender for the second best team in the conference. Now, look, this is one of those situations to where if Cooper got the award, I would have been completely fine with it. I am a fan that values analytics. I don't use it fully to drive an opinion, but I use it. And Cooper Flagg was great for defensive plus minus, defensive win shares, so on and so forth. And that is the whole case of Flagg for being Defensive Player of the Year, which if he was your choice, okay, that's fine. But also, there's this whole notion that Chucky Hepburn wasn't the best defender for Louisville this year. And to that, I respond with, did you watch the games? There were situations to where Terence Edwards, depending on the matchup, like with North Carolina against RJ Davis, some of the game against Hunter Salas, and some of it against Chase Hunter with Clemson, Terence Edwards defended those players. Sometimes. What you saw for the most part, if you watch Louisville games, was Chucky Hepburn being the leader of the Cardinals defense. Pesky on-ball defender, one of the best on-ball defenders in the country. His assignments rarely ever had much of an impact, especially scoring the basketball. Great hands, great instincts, fantastic ability to jump passing routes and get up into a ball handler's personal space and just take the basketball and make life miserable. So to suggest that Chucky Hepburn wasn't even really justified to be in this conversation, I find it hilarious, and it just shows me like you're telling on yourself here that you didn't watch Louisville. And that's okay if you didn't, just admit it. Just admit it. Chucky Hepburn was one of the best on-ball defenders in college basketball, led the conference in steals, was the best defender on the second best team in the ACC. However, I will give Cooper Flagg his props. He was a fantastic defender. I don't think he should be penalized for having other good defenders on the court with him. This is just one of those, whoever they give it to, I was going to be fine with whoever they gave it to. And they gave it to Chucky. And I'm obviously fine with that. So, but this whole narrative that, just like Pat Kelsey being Coach of the Year, they're like, there's no way, and it's a fact that Cooper Flagg was a better defender. I mean, if your only case was using analytics for your argument, more power to you, I guess. But Chucky Hepburn was arguably the most valuable defender on any team in college basketball, any team in ACC play this season. Terence Edwards also got some recognition and love. Wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but he got Third-Team All-ACC. I predicted that he'd get second team. I thought he should have got second team All-Conference. He was on the third team with Tyrese Proctor, Baye Ndongo from Georgia Tech, Boopy Miller from SMU, and Jalen Lowe from Pittsburgh. The second team, RJ Davis, Marcus Burton, Ian Shefflin, Con Knipple, and Jameer Watkins. I'm okay with Shefflin. I'm okay with Con Knipple. You look at the averages here for Terence Edwards, 15.8 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and was one of the best guards in conference play throughout February and March as well. You compare it to what RJ Davis did, 17.3, 3.6, 3.8. If you want to put RJ Davis there, I mean, I guess that's fine. But if you're telling me that Marcus Burton, Jameer Watkins, and RJ Davis should all be over Terence Edwards, I just don't see it. Burton, I can see, but there has to be something that awards winning games. Florida State was not a good team. Jameer Watkins, a good player, but not a great team. Terence Edwards, I felt like just what his impact was, but I guess you look at Chucky Hepburn being first team, and they said, well, he wasn't the best player on his team, so we're going to dock him to third team. I thought Terence should have been second team because of his impact down the stretch, but it all goes back to watching the games and seeing the impact beyond the box score, because what Fat was able to do this year from mid-January, really early January to the end of the season was incredible. So shout out to all the Louisville Cardinals that got some recognition and love from the conference. We're going to go to football. Jeff Brohm still on fire. Another commitment from another local star. Looking to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor makes eating well easy with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals that are fresh, never frozen, and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences every week, you can customize your meals and fit your lifestyle. Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, you name it. I love how Factor takes the stress out of meal planning. I recently tried their Protein Plus meals, and they were packed with flavor and kept me full throughout the day. The convenience is unbeatable. No prep, no mess. Just great food in minutes. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege, 50 off, and use the code lockedoncollege, 50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code lockedoncollege, 50 off at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege, 50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. We recorded the episode for the Tuesday show early in the morning on Monday. I knew that my schedule and Grant Mulligan's schedule, they weren't really going to match up all that well, so we had to find some time, and Monday morning was going to be the best option. So we talked about commitments from Jaden Broadnax, Karsten Bush, and Joel Irvin. And then on Monday, another commitment for Louisville, and I'm texting Grant like, dude, people are going to think that we just forgot about this one. So I had to make it clear in the comments and the description that Louisville got another commitment, and we'll talk about him on the next show. Another star from St. X, Marlon Harbin. 5'11", 175 pounds in the class of 2026, ranked just outside of the top 700, made his commitment official and public on Monday. Second player from St. X to commit in just a couple of days. Harbin has been starting for the Tigers program since he was a freshman. That's not really something that happens a ton. So that is pretty notable. Now, the level of competition, sort of hit or miss depending on who St. X plays, but the Tigers are known to play some tough out-of-conference opponents like the Trinity Shamrocks do. So they do play some solid competition. They play each other. They play male. So even though competition is hit or miss, he plays for one of the best programs in the state. He is a top 10 recruit, depending on which site you look at, number 6 player in the 24/7 Sports Composite. According to Rivals, he's the number 1 player in the state of Kentucky. Now, he lists an offer from the Wildcats program, Vince Marl being his primary recruiter, but outside of Kentucky, not really much Power 5 interest listed. It seems like Purdue was listed interest, but no offer from the Boilermakers yet, so I'm not sure what the up-to-date offer sheet looks like, but I am 100% okay with Jeff Brohm and company keeping local star talent home. And Harbin is an intriguing player because of his versatility. He's listed as an athlete, but the key for the staff and something I'm interested in is seeing what he projects to play at the next level. He played wide receiver, running back, and cornerback this past season for St. X. According to Rivals, he projects as a wide receiver, but has the skill set to potentially play any of the 3 positions. Now, when you watch the film, I honestly think that the running back film looks a little bit more impressive than the other positions. But as a wide receiver, he shows good hands, the ability to create a ton of separation. And when he gets the ball out in space, whether it's as a ball carrier or a receiver, he's hard to bring down. Don't let that 5'11", 175-pound frame fool you. He utilizes a ton of strength, and sort of like Antonio Harris here, I like the athleticism and second-level speed. Marlon Harbin is a big play waiting to happen. When he touches the football, usually good things happen, right? I just want to see, same thing with Antonio Harris from Mail. Harris projects as, a cornerback, defensive back for the Cardinals this year, but has the background playing both ways, wide receiver at Mail as well. Will Harbin be a wide receiver? Will he be a defensive back, considering that the Cardinals need defensive backs right now? Or will he be a running back? Because next year, Isaac Brown and Duke Watson will hopefully still be at Louisville and be juniors, and they may look to turn Harbin into a running back. That's probably a conversation for well down the road. Probably even after he gets to campus. You're talking about fall camp. Would he be a player that can contribute right away? I'm not sure. I think it's going to take a year or maybe two for him to see a significant amount of playing time in the 2 deep for the Cardinals. But he does have that skill set to where you could plug him into a couple of different spots, and maybe he sees the field sooner at a different spot. So I'm not going to say that he couldn't play early on, but it's such a great look optically for the Cardinals to get 2 arguably top 5 players in the state, both from St. X. So not only do you keep players from the state of Kentucky in the Bluegrass State, but it wasn't that long ago to where Kentucky got whoever they wanted from the city. The end of the Bobby Petrino era, even Scott Satterfield's tenure, Louisville didn't do a great job of recruiting, or regardless if they wanted to recruit the 502 in the surrounding areas. But Jeff Brohm came in and was like, we're changing that immediately. He got players that were from the 502 but had gone to other programs. He got them to transfer in. He got some local guys to commit in the next high school classes, and to be able to get a player like Karsten Bush, fantastic linebacker, and also a player like Marlon Harbin, who's just a playmaker, can affect the game in so many different ways. It's awesome. It's fantastic to see if you're a Louisville fan, and especially if you're one that is wanting the Cardinals to prioritize high school recruiting a little bit more than they have been over the past couple of portal-heavy off seasons. And I'm sort of in that same line of thinking. I understand that you will forever utilize the portal, and I'm okay with that. But I do feel like there has to be some emphasis on high school recruiting, and it looks like the 2026 class is a reflection of that line of thinking. So great commitment here for the Cardinals. Great week for Jeff Brohm and his program on the recruiting trail. That's going to wrap up this Wednesday edition of the show. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Game Day.